Willie D Live.
What's up, family? We got a woman who tried everything in her power to defend Donald Trump, your president, until she finally just gave up, fam. She just finally was like, look, I voted for him 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. That's it. I must be an idiot. I'll withhold my judgment until you guys watch the video.
Let's take a listen to one more woman who we spoke with. If you could say something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You're a worthless pile of
And you voted for him how many times?
3 times. That was my bad. Apparently, I'm an idiot.
Apparently you are. I ain't got no problem with that. Family, they say the first step to recovery is, first of all, admitting you got a problem. If you want to solve a problem, first you got to admit you have a problem. She finally came to her senses after the 3rd vote. Now, but I don't respect it. And I don't respect it because she should have came to her senses before the first vote. She should have never voted for his ass in the first place. Here's a dude that don't even know or did not know where Peru was on the map, but he's running for president of the United States of America. He did not know where Peru was. Now, I get it, fam. You ain't in politics. You know, you're not a truck driver. You know, you're not a pilot. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you're not concerned with that type of stuff, you know? You're not concerned about, where, countries are located. You're not concerned about what states and cities and municipalities are located. You don't care about stuff like that, right? Geography, you don't make your money with, in geography, right? You don't need geography. You don't need a lesson in geography. But he's the president of the United States. He's supposed to know stuff like that, right? They gave this dude the codes to the nukes, who does not know where Peru was or is on the map. I want you to think about that, fam. They gave a man the codes, the nuclear codes, who could not locate Peru on the map and still has no clue what the sun does when it gets dark. He has no clue what the sun does at night. Now he's asking for $200 billion. He wants $200 billion. He wants $200 billion more to finance the Iran war. Do you know what $200 billion could do for Americans who did not want a war, but they did want medical care? They did want health care. They could have used that money to take care of their medical debt. It could have provided millions of school children with lunches. It could have provided millions of households with tariff refunds. It could have made healthcare affordable for everybody. How about shooting us that money to pay down some credit card interest rebates? To provide some credit card interest rebates. How about that? Millions could have benefited off that. We could have benefited. Yeah, man. He could have discharged student loan debt. Yeah, he could have done that. He could have fully funded educational services for millions of students with disabilities for the first time ever. Could have done that. Could have done that. He could have delayed Medicaid coverage loss for millions of people. He could have sent millions of low-income Americans to college. He could have had life-saving medication. He could have sent that to millions and millions of people around the world. Yeah. He could have supplied food assistance to millions of Americans. He could have fully funded Pell Grants, which some 32% of undergraduates depend on each year. Yeah. He could have provided child care for millions of children. He could have doubled the school funding for low-income students. He could have closed the multi-billion-dollar gap in state funding for historically Black colleges and universities, which he's lied and said he already did. And there's so much more he could have done with $200 billion. But he wants to use it for war. Who benefits from war? Who benefits from war? Businessmen, and businessmen. That's who benefits from war. Businessmen. All of those supplies, all of the rebuilding, because you know there'll be American companies who will go to these places and say, hey, we'll rebuild it, and this is what we'll charge to do it. They'll provide food to those citizens that have been displaced. They'll provide healthcare services. Somebody is getting paid. Who gets paid? Whoever provides those healthcare services. Yeah, man, it's a hustle. It's one big old hustle. And it's really the only reason why people go to war in the first place. It's a money grab. War is a money grab, and they're taking your child's life and they're rolling the dice with your child's life. Your child ain't getting nothing out of it. He might get to say, well, you know, I served in war, and then you come back home. If you can come back home with your limbs, you can come back home, get on the plane with your little uniform on, and everybody, thank you for your service, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. Sir, would you like some extra coffee? They're gonna give you a little shit like coffee and some free drinks, a little chips, and some get you some extra snacks or something. Sir, we have a seat right here, almost up front. It's not quite in front, first class, but it's a little bit more leg room, sir. Would you like to come in? And you feeling all thankful, and you're like, yeah, wow, this is great. Like, that's all you got for risking your life? And you got two dudes who can't agree. They can't come together. These are two dudes who ain't even capable of fighting. They so old they can't fight. So they're gonna send you out to fight. They're gonna send you and your children to go get killed, get your head knocked off, get your legs and your arms blown off. Even if you come back and you look like you're intact, like everything's intact, your mind gone with all of that violence you saw, all of that war, your nerves ain't never gonna be the same. Yeah, you might leave here thinking you almighty, whatever, you strong and you can handle anything. Man, you can't handle that. Nobody's been able to handle that. Nobody. The long-term effects of war. Come on, fam. Look, I have never been deployed to war per se, a sanctioned war, right? Or even unsanctioned. I haven't been deployed to war. Never been in the military for war. But I did pretty much grow up in a war zone because a lot of dudes that grew up with me did not make it. I started seeing my friends, my personal friends, get killed when I was like 12. Like 12, I started seeing my friends get killed, people I knew. I had a friend, I was 15 and he was 13. I had cut his hair. I know y'all didn't know, so that's a skill. Y'all didn't know I could cut hair. Huh? Yeah, I bet you did. So anyway, yeah, I cut his hair. He left my house. 5 minutes later, couldn't have been more than 5 minutes, somebody knocking on my door. Yo, they just killed such and such. I go, 13. This is how little regard some people have for children. This is a grown man killed a 13-year-old. Now, he broke into his house. That was the story. He claimed that the kid had broke into his house and, he tracked him, he killed him. Mexican dude killed this 13-year-old black dude. And, I'm thinking, okay, I can understand. I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all, fam, because I got to call a striker, striking a ball. If you're coming through my door, my window, if you're coming in my house uninvited, then I'm going to give you what you're looking for. You free game. I ain't got time to see, wonder if how old you are and, damn, is that a grown person or a kid trying to rob? I ain't got time for that. All I know is that that's a body right there, and I'm about to body that body. That's all I can think of, because I got to protect myself and my family first. So if I find out later it was a kid, damn, wish it would have went down like that, but too bad, too sad. First law of nature, self-preservation. But in this situation, he did it, he got away, and then you found out he did it, you caught up with him. You got time to think about it. Your life ain't in danger, right? Not at that moment, your life ain't in danger. Snatch the little dude up, whatever you got to do, slap him across the head if you got to do that. You feel like you can't control yourself, you got to slap him across the head or whatever, do all that, whatever, right? And then if you want to take it all the way to high road, you snatch him up, take him to his mama house or whatever, and let her deal with him, let his mom and daddy deal with him, whatever. Or if you want to call the police, say, this kid, you don't do that, though. He not only shot him several times, he ran over him. You better believe he had to get up out of that neighborhood. Oh, we got him up out of there. But it didn't bring my buddy back. It didn't bring him back at all. So, man, that just took me back. That was crazy. Anyway, fam, this woman who voted for Trump, she got exactly what she voted for, because it ain't like he didn't warn you. It ain't like the writing was not on the wall. Before he was ever voted in, the video came out of him bragging about grabbing women by the, right? Remember that? That video came out before he was voted in. Before he was ever voted in, there was dozens of women who claimed that he had SA'd them before he ever got in. Before he ever got in, he had accused the Central Park Five of violating a woman. Now think about that. He was so enraged that he took out a full-page ad. I believe it was the New York Times. It was a New York Post or New York Times. He took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. What did I tell y'all about Donald Trump? Every accusation is an admission of guilt. Every accusation is an admission of guilt. He's so mad at these boys who did not even do the crime that he took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. while knowing that he's been on that island and he's been doing all this other stuff, violating women and girls, children. He knows. At the same time, he's doing all of that. So you got that going on. You got the discrimination lawsuit against him and his family. You got that. You got him calling for the first president of the United States, black president of the United States, to have his nomination rescinded because he's not a U.S. citizen. Now, he's had dealings with all of these presidents, but he get to the first black president, and now he starts talking about birthing rights for the first time. Just coincidentally, he just happened to be a black man that looked like he got a good chance of becoming president. So then you have just all of the ignorant things that he would say during debates, calling people out of their names, talking about service members were losers, POWs, calling our POWs losers. If you went to war and you got captured, to him, that meant you was a loser. But so the writing was all over the walls. She voted for him anyway because she thought he was going to be hard on blacks and probably brown people. And she thought that she was going to be protected on the side of getting money. She thought her job was going to be secure. She thought she was going to get money. Next thing you know, all these people who voted for Trump, including those farmers too, farmers, many half Hispanics who voted for him, they started feeling the wrath. They started feeling the heat. And then they started feeling regret. But here's the cold part. As big of an idiot as that woman in the video is, there's even bigger idiots out there because they are still supporting Donald Trump. No more talk.